we invited Judy Carlson from Council 5 to come down and do bumping and layoff training to give us some information on the options that we have. You may not be affected this round. We know that there were some positions that were eliminated, and based on those, there are some bumpings that are happening throughout campus. But this will explain some of the bumping process and what the options are to everybody. And then Gladys is also Gladys McKenzie. If you haven't met her, Gladys is our business agent. She's also from Council 5. So they will be doing the training today. If you have any questions, please speak up.
Just a few introductory remarks, and I should tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Judy Carlson, and I am the Education Department at AFSCME Council 5, and I just have to thank St. Cloud State University Administration for allowing us to do this, because this doesn't happen everywhere. And this is what we consider, you know, at least something like this, really good, positive labor relations. And so kudos to them. I have been with AFSCME for 20 years. I started as an organizer. I served quite a while as a staff rep like Gladys, and this is Gladys McKenzie, your staff rep, which we also mean business agent. We also mean field rep. They all mean the same thing. And then I started doing education, and I've been doing that for about 10 years. So it is so nice to be here. A few remarks about what we're going to do today. I'm not going to kid you. The layoff language in the contract is extremely complicated, but it's not something we can't muddle through together. But don't expect to know exactly how this language works when you walk out of here. Whenever we have a contract question or issue, we pull the contract out and we go through it step by step. So just know that it's possible to do. We're going to talk a little bit in the PowerPoint presentation. I don't think you're having any layoffs right now. However, you know, things don't look good yet for the next biennium. And unless we get some revenue enhancement, which is a commentary, feel free to disagree if you need to, we're still going to be going through this serious problem of budget cuts. And I am guessing you're feeling like unless they start eliminating programs, there's not much more to cut, because almost everybody I know in state service is overworked and doing sometimes 2 jobs. And so I know what you're going through. So what we're going to do, your packet. On the right-hand side, please hang on to this information, because my understanding is we had one layoff here, and other than that, no one else is currently going through layoff?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
The information on the right-hand side of your packet are resources available to people who are laid off. And so hang on to that. Hopefully you won't ever have to look at it again. And for those coworkers of yours who weren't able to come today, you know, hang on to it for them if they're the unfortunate ones. On the left-hand side, we are going to be working primarily with 2 documents. One are the PowerPoint notes, and I encourage you to sort of follow along and make notes or write questions as we go. And this is very informal, even though there's a whole bunch of people of you here. But feel free to ask questions as we go. And then there is something called, there's work areas. We'll talk about that later. But then the other thing I really want you to pull out, there's a stapled 2-page document called Article 15 Layoff, Section 3D Procedure. And this is trying to simplify the contract language. So what we're going to do is basically in the PowerPoint walk through this so you can see possibly what your options are, or if you do get a layoff letter, you can try to figure it out through this. And so we're going to be working primarily with these two documents as we walk through the PowerPoint if we get it going. So, any questions before we start? Questions or comments? So how many people in here are a clerical worker? Okay. How many are a technical worker? Okay. How many are trades? Okay. How many are service? GMWs? Okay. What did I miss? Any healthcare workers? Okay. One other question. Do you have any other locations at St. Cloud State University other than this campus?
Maple Grove. But
Maple?
There's only one person there, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a
Minnesota
Highway Safety Center.
Yep, Highway Safety Center.
Where's that?
Not far.
not far.
Highway
Okay. In St. Cloud?
Yeah.
Okay. I heard on NPR this morning, this was great because I heard that they're going to take comments from listeners on which public services they would like to go without. And I thought, that's a great thing. That is a great thing. So you might want to tune in to NPR over the next few days and see what people respond to that question with. You know, they take so many things for granted. So
I'm going to bring back a bunch of these postcards. And what we're trying to do with these is to build our turnout for the primary and for the gubernatorial election in November. And we have learned as a union that these cards, which are actually filled out by you and will be sent back to you as a reminder to go vote, have an impact on the voter turnout. So I'm going to bring back enough so that each one of you can fill one out and hand it back to us. I'll go to my car and get them. We can't emphasize enough how important this upcoming election is to all of the services that we care about and everybody's job. We need somebody who we can talk rationally with in that public office. Somebody who wants to raise revenue by taxing the most wealthy in the state, who are now getting by paying 8%, while most of you in this room are probably paying 12 to 13% of your income in state taxes. If everybody paid their fair share of taxes, we would raise an additional $3 billion, and some of the problems that we're all facing would go away. So the governor's election is important for that reason, and also for protecting the services that we care about and the jobs that we care about. So I'm going to go get these, and I hope that you'll hand them back to me. Okay.
thank you. We wouldn't be here right now if it weren't for the policy decisions that have been made over the last 8 years, period. We wouldn't be having this discussion. So the reality that, you know, we need to deal with, we need to take our power back politically as workers. So that's what Gladys is talking about.
And one of the things is, as Gladys and Judy has alluded to, and I said this at the last union meeting, we all have to remember as state employees, our jobs are political. Plain and simple. It all depends on who's in office. If we want to get things done, we need to be more political. If it's door knocking, if it's phone banking, if it's talking to your neighbors, if it's talking to your friends, letting them know what's going on and how the budget cuts are affecting you as a state worker and how it's affecting your coworkers. A lot of times just talking to your neighbors or your family, that's a step forward. You know, we may ask you to do additional. When I went through the BMO training, the one thing that they taught us is we're going to get you so that you feel uncomfortable and then push you just a little bit more. And I think that's what we need to do now. We need to, with the situation the way it is, we're already feeling uncomfortable. We're already worried about our jobs, and if we don't get involved and start doing more politically, this is going to continue. And you know, if one of the people who are running for office, Immer, has already indicated that if he's elected, he's cutting state government by 33%. Across the board, 33%. So that's scary. And when we're looking at the political aspects, looking at all of, I tell people, when you're looking at a candidate, I know we all stand for something, and we all have something that if one candidate is against, but let's look at the full picture. Let's look at all the little blips that they hold, because that one little blip may not even affect us down the road, but the others may. So we need to look at the full picture when we're voting folks that get this.
Okay, what's the first thing you do if you get laid off? What's that? File for unemployment. Even before that. Yeah, they're looking at the slides. Contact your local union steward. Especially in the case of multiple layoffs, but you absolutely want to contact a local union steward, because this is, like I say, pretty complicated stuff, and we're going to work together on this. And we work with HR. This is not a thing of, this doesn't usually end up being contentious. In fact, the one layoff letter that I saw that went out here, they had really done their homework here. And, you know, that's a product of working together. Okay, your layoff letter. Your layoff letter should give you 21 days notice. It should explain all of your layoff options, and it informs you of immediate claiming options. We're going to talk about claiming a little bit more later, but claiming is where you may have a right to a vacancy in another agency. Most of your layoff rights are just within your, what we call your seniority unit, which we'll explain too. But you may have rights to a vacancy. The problem, of course, with multiple layoffs, if they're happening, there's not a lot of vacancies out there. But there are some agencies like public safety and possibly DOT that where some might be available. And it should give you at least 14 days to decide what you want to do. Now, that may not necessarily be the case if we're going through multiple layoffs. What they do is they should try to give the union a 30-day notice, and there shouldn't be a problem doing that. But especially in cases of multiple layoffs, employees should be made aware of any contractual changes. For instance, if there's 20 layoffs on campus, sometimes it's just almost impossible to give everyone a 21-day notice. And so what we'll do is we will agree so that people can make their choices to do something like an NFL draft, where if there are any vacancies, those will be posted. The most senior in that class will pick it, and it might be done in a much shorter period of time. But you would be informed of what your options are and at what date you have to make your decision. You might still get the 14 days, but then everybody might have to decide on the first day, or on that day. So that's one of the other reasons you really want to contact your union steward, because if there are multiple layoffs, it gets even more complicated. So let's start out with something very simple. Picture this. Sue is an Office of Administrative Specialist at St. Cloud State. That would be